guys, it's Margie, and today there's a little something different about me. I got my braces off! Yay! After having my braces for between 2 and 3 years, it is definitely a happy day to get them off, and I'm very excited to not be a metal mouth any longer. So, yeah. Okay, just wanted to acknowledge that, because if you're like, there's something different. Yes, there is. Okay, today's movie review is of the 1988 film Punchline. It starred Sally Field, Tom Hanks, John Goodman, Mark Rydell, Kim Greist, Paul McCartney, Pam Mattison, George McGrath, Taylor Negron, Barry Nykerg, Angel Salazar, Damon Wayans, Joyce Katz, Mac Robbins, Max Alexander, Paul Kozlowski, Barry Sobel, and Katie Rich. It was directed and written by David Seltzer, and David Seltzer also wrote My Giant and Bird on a Wire. Music was by Charles Gross, who also did the music for Turner and Hooch, which also starred Tom Hanks. Cinematography was by Ronaldo Villalobos, and he did the cinematography for Risky Business and Urban Cowboy. Edited by Bruce Green. Bruce Green's edited everything, including Valentine's Day, Freaky Friday, Runaway Bride, Home Alone 3, The Other Sister, The Princess Diaries, and While You Were Sleeping. To name a few. Produced by Daniel Melnick, who also produced Footloose, Roxanne, and Straw Dogs, and also produced by Michael I. Rockmill, who also produced The Glass House, Roxanne, Hanover Street, and A Cinderella Story. Okay, guys, so the basic plot for this movie is that it's basically the story of Sally Field's character and her... It's really the story of two characters. It's the story of Tom Hanks and Sally Field's character. And Sally Field's character is a stay-at-home mom who has a passion for stand-up comedy. And it's basically her journey. She meets Tom Hanks, and she wants to improve her comedy routine because she's not doing very well, so she enlists his help. He's a fellow stand-up comedian at night as well. And it's basically their journey of trying to reach the top of the comedy, to better themselves as stand-up comedians and to rise in the stand-up to get somewhere in this business. She really wants people to think that she's funny. She kind of has something to prove to herself. And he has just been kicked out of medical school, so he is anxious to make a name for himself and earn enough money to pay his rent because he is currently homeless. Yeah, okay, that's the plot in a nutshell, guys. Let's talk about this acting, shall we? So let's start with Sally Field. Sally Field, I thought, absolutely killed it. I don't think there was anything else she could have done with the character. All of her scenes, exactly what was required, she was there. She fit the part very well. She was really, this was great casting choice. Really good casting choice, I think, for this movie. She did a great job. There was nothing else she could have done. All of her scenes were very soulful. You really felt that she connected with this character, and I also thought that she totally could have passed as a stand-up comedian. I thought she fulfilled that aspect of the role really well. Tom Hanks, same to him. He really embraced this role, and this was early, pretty early in his career, still in the 80s. Great job. Really went for it. Again, totally believable as a stand-up comedian. And this is kind of similar to the roles he was playing in the 80s, such as Turner and Hooch and Splash, just this goofy guy with lots of funny lines. And, I thought he did really well. But then there was also this crying scene that he did, and I made a special note of this in the film. Oh, my word. Absolutely blew it out of the water. Okay, I'm just speaking for myself on a personal note to tell you that I am a sympathetic crier, which of course means that when I see other people cry, I tend to feel like crying as well when it's really genuine, which means I do not do well at funerals. Because I'm just like, oh my gosh, the whole time. But anyway, especially if the family and stuff is really emotional. But the point is, Tom Hanks was really pouring it on. I mean, really just laying it out, just emotionally raw. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to cry. Like, it was that good. Um, yeah, very, really struck a chord with me because he was like really vulnerable in that moment, I thought. Great job, Tom Hanks, as always. But I mean, really, boom, just punch in the gut. All right, that really stood out to me. Again, I'm giving, like, his performance for me could not have been any better. He killed it. And again, some people could say, well, that's all he did in the 80s was just like this funny man type of routine and blah blah blah. But you know what, you see this one scene and you're like, holy cow, the man has depth. Don't judge him, he is awesome. Okay. um all right, let's move on to John Goodman. John Goodman plays Sally Field's husband, and he does not have a very big role. Basically, the whole film is Sally and Tom, pretty much, and really Sally. I mean, Sally is definitely the star of this movie, but I thought John did absolutely everything he could have done. I don't think there was anything else he could have done better to fill this role. He did great. Mark Rydell, I thought, did fairly well. He plays the owner of the comedy club where Tom and Sally are working at night. I thought he did well. It didn't really blow me away, but I don't think there was really anything else he could have done. And he was kind of supposed to be like a cheesy nightclub owner, so I thought he fulfilled that role very well. Everyone else that I mentioned, I thought did well in this film. There wasn't anyone that you're just like, you're really weak, but then again, I felt like they could have been weak and gotten away with it because, like I said, the film literally is the four people that I just talked about, and everyone else is just kind of like little lines here and there. Like, there's no other major characters to me, but again, everyone else was solid as far as the supporting cast. The directing for this movie, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like too that the director really I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like based on what I saw, I feel like the director pretty much let Sally Field do a lot of what she wanted with the part. I feel like he was just kind of like, you know what you're doing, go for it. And she did really, really well in this role. I really enjoyed it. But I thought the directing for this was good, and it didn't really blow me away. But it was really solid, and you could tell that there was leadership in this film, and that's what you're supposed to have as a director, is leadership. So good job to David Seltzer. The music by Charles Gross. To me, it was a little strange, but this is a very the cinematography. I thought, okay, I will say this: I thought the music in the film went very well with the cinematography, because the cinematography in this film is very dark. Lots of dark themes. It's a very dark film as far as the lighting and the color schemes. So I thought the music went really well for that. However, in some of the more tender moments of the film, I really wish he would have gone for more of a, I don't want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, violins and like more flowery around the score rather than still the same type of score he did earlier, which went very well with the comedy aspect of the film. I thought he killed that, but I still think he could have done better as far as when the more tender moments just really, not be quite so comedic in the score during the more tender moments. But other than that, it was great. I wouldn't listen to it, like I wouldn't put it on playlist and listen to it, but I thought it fit pretty well with the film. And I thought he did a good job, as I said, capturing the comedy aspect through music, which that was a tough challenge. So good job to him. The cinematography, I really liked the cinematography for this. It was very, for a movie that is called Punchline, that you think is going to be really funny, and it is definitely funny, but it's got a lot of the tones and the lighting in the film is very dark, which a lot of this movie is filmed in a nightclub, so that makes sense. But I'm just saying, like, it's a very dark toned film, and I really like that, and I thought it worked well because it makes it not all just be one big joke, because the film does have a powerful message that it's trying to convey. Okay, The editing, I thought the editing was great. For me, it did run a little long, and I felt like there were some things that could have been omitted. However, I felt like the pacing of the film was good. I didn't feel like the story was rushed. Um, and I felt like it really, like, there was like a sequence of events, and you could totally like see that there was time for each of these things to happen, which part of that is the writing. But I felt like the editing for this was great. The writing, let's get into the writing. I thought the writing was good. I really enjoyed the plot. Some of the punchlines for me were not that funny, honestly. Like, I just didn't find them amusing, like a lot of this humor. But some of it, it was definitely witty. It was sharp. You know what I mean? It just didn't really make me laugh, but I could see how it would be funny, like, to others. I thought the writing for this was good, dialogue and plot-wise. I thought the story flowed well. I didn't think there was, like, anything else, really, that he could have done as far as the writing. Let's jump into the parent's guide for this movie, and let's start with the language in this film. We've got 13 F words, 5 S words, 2 B words, 3 GD words, 6 A words, and 3 H words. Sexual references, there's 5 of them that I counted, but it's a lot of the jokes are like sexual in nature, like there's a lot of like sexual innuendo in the jokes. Like, this is not even like an actual joke, but this is just the idea. I have a Polish husband that has something that's long and hard. What is it? And the answer is a last name. You know what I mean? So, like, your mind is kind of tricked into thinking other things. Anyway, there's a lot of that in the film, which probably is going to not make it appropriate for younger viewers, obviously. And I don't think younger viewers are going to enjoy this movie because it's not, like, you need to be mature to understand a lot of it and sit through the 2 hours of it, for one thing. But anyway, religious exclamations, there's 10 of those. In the sexual category, there's hints of infidelity. There is Sally Fields kind of gets interested in another comic, and he asks her to run away with him and get married, and anyway, just letting you know that. I'm not going to spoil it for you, really. There's a lot, like I said, the sexual innuendo in the jokes is like it's not every joke, but it's a lot of jokes. Drinking and alcohol, there's smoking, but there's not, and there's like a bar, and there's like alcohol scene, but it's not like ridiculous. Violence and gore, none. Absolutely none. There's like, I guess one of the characters runs out in the street and like these cars are like missing him, so I guess you could consider that kind of like a perilous moment, but it's not really that bad. Okay, guys, it's time for my favorite part of the review, which is the time where I share my special notes with all you special people. Okay, here are my special notes. Tom Hanks killed his crying scene. Absolutely walked away with it. It was a thing of beauty. I mentioned in a previous review of this movie, review I did called of Stepmom, the movie with Julia Roberts. And Julia Roberts had a really lovely crying scene in that movie that I just absolutely loved. Like, I'd just sit there and watch it over and over. This is the same type of scene. It's just like beautiful acting. It's like beautiful to watch someone just put it themselves out there and just like kill it. And he did. It was bravo, Tom Hanks. Bravo. There is a special scene in this movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's the hair scene. It's where Sally Fields goes and gets her hair dyes, and she comes back and shows her family. I'm not going to ruin it for you. I will just say that it was absolutely beautiful, and that alone almost made me cry. I have no idea why, because normally I'm just like, eh. But, I mean, it was so good. Oh, the writers come through. All right, basically I summed up the plot, which is, this is the story of Sally Field's character discovering what true happiness is and where her treasure really lies. Whether that's with comedy, or whether that's with her family, or whether she can mix both, or that's kind of the struggle that she's facing in this film. Okay, guys, so age-old question, would I watch this movie again? I'm going to say no because it is 2 hours long. I did really enjoy it. It's definitely worth the one-time watch if you are either a Tom Hanks or Sally Field fan. But if you don't like Sally Field, you will probably not enjoy this movie because this is basically, it's not her film, like it's not like a one-character film, but her character is definitely the main focus, and she has a lot of scenes, so just be aware of that. I'm giving this movie 3 stars out of 5. I would not watch it again, but like I said, if you are a fan of John Goodman or Sally Field or Tom Hanks or Mark Rydell, I highly recommend because it is definitely enjoyable. And you just want to see everything that you can possibly get your hands on with your favorite actors in it, as I always say. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this review. I just would like to also add a small note to say that I know that my postings have been patchy and here and there, and like I'm trying to still do the once a week thing, and sometimes I get that done and sometimes I don't. And I also know that my 1 year anniversary went by a long time ago, and I didn't even like really make a big deal out of that. So happy 1 year anniversary to me. It was forever ago. Yay. Of YouTube. I'm still planning to YouTube. I've just been super ridiculously busy, and I do apologize for that, and that's no excuse. So I'm going to try and be more faithful. But if not, I will just post and vlog whenever I can. And thank you guys for being so understanding with me. And thank you, as always, for watching my reviews. You guys are the bomb. And I will talk to you guys later.